Very warm welcome to all of you who are joining on this Twitter Spaces conversation with Hari Menon on the theme Making Sense of the 10-Minute Delivery Phenomena. We're calling it a phenomena because I think it's kind of fired up the public imagination. And we're looking forward to understanding the phenomena with an e-commerce veteran like Hari. Hari, as you know, needs no introduction in that sense, but he's the co-founder and CEO of BigBasket. And in many ways, he's very much e-commerce veteran, as I'd mentioned. He set up FabMart way back, along with others, back in 1999. It was one of India's first e-commerce portals. So this is his second innings as an e-commerce entrepreneur and founder. They started out in Bangalore in 2011 and have had quite significant milestones, culminating in the acquisition or the investment that Tata Digital made last year when they bought 64% in BigBasket. So, and it's great to see so many familiar faces from the Founding Fuel community and some new ones as well. So welcome to all of you. I have with me my co-founder, Charles Assisi, and my colleague Ramnath, who's kind of managing the back end on this one. Before we get started, I just thought I'd kind of mention a couple of housekeeping rules. This is planned as a AMA, so you can ask Hari almost anything on this theme. But it'd be nice if you can keep your questions short and succinct so that we can pack in more questions and it'll be fast-paced conversation. Hari's promised us an hour, as I was mentioning a little while ago. And so I think all you have to do if you have a question to ask is to press that request button that you might find on your screen with a mic icon. And Ramnath will get an alert that you're interested in asking a question and we'll be able to invite you to speak. So that's very basic what we've got planned for you. I wanted to kind of kick off with a set of results from a Twitter poll that we ran this week, and it's obviously a small sample, but it gives you a sense and is perhaps a good entry point for this conversation with Hari. So I kind of the results are also pinned on our Founding Fuel handle. So if you want to see the actual figures, you'd probably get a peek at it as well. But there were three questions that we broadly asked. The first question was, does superfast delivery of food and grocery improve your life in any way? And funnily enough, almost about 51.1% said it was useless. Another 20% said they loved it, and another 22.2% said they'd use it because it's there. The second one was really around asking them about, some of you, about what your biggest concerns were about superfast delivery. There, an overwhelming 61.9% have raised issues around driver safety and the chaos that it might create on traffic in our big cities. And finally, the third question was really, where is the pressure coming from to expand superfast deliveries? Is it from VCs, founders? Again, the largest chunk said VCs, 45.8%, and founders, 33%, and only 16.7% customers believed that customers were really behind the innovation and this disruption. So that's the perfect entry point to invite Hari really to give us a sense of what this really means and try and bust some of the myths that maybe this survey has willy-nilly kind of brought to the surface. Um, some of the stuff so far has been quite animated conversations on social media around 10-minute delivery particularly, and some of the memes are incredibly funny. I mean, I'm sure some of you have seen it. But Hari, over to you. What sense does this really help us understand what you heard from the results and tell us what the reality is? Over to you. Hari, you're on mute, I think.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Indrajit. You know what? Just give me a minute, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly, loud and clear.
It seems to be going on. Yeah, you can hear me, right? So, okay.
Yes. Hari, you've gone on mute
Yeah,
again.
I just pulled that stuff
Yeah.
out of my ears, I said. So I just...
Okay.
So I just feel better this way. Yeah.
Right.
So
All
essentially,
yours.
Indrajit, let me just start telling you.
Yeah.
Start with saying that, I'm really not sure about the quick commerce business, being run as a standalone business for companies. Because my belief is, and I'm not too surprised by what the survey has said. And my belief is that this is going to be a certain percentage of the overall grocery business, and I'll come to that. Let me first tell you the rationale behind BB getting into it, right? And we were the last to get into it. That itself, is enough to say that we weren't in a hurry to build it, because there were a couple of things that we wanted to make sure before we got it in. But there were some other priorities that we had, which is most importantly, we wanted to get all our services in one app, right? And that was the work that was going on while so much noise had started around this whole space, and we were fine with waiting and making sure that we do it the right way. So essentially, we were trying to get everything into one app and then start, which I'll talk about maybe at some point if at all there is interest. But fundamentally, the way BB looks at it, we look at it, is that this is one part of our business which I think will eventually be, anywhere between 15 to 20% of the basket of a customer's monthly basket, right? So that will where it will go and settle down, and the reason I'm saying that is that there are essentially three use cases for this business, and there are three important use cases, right? And one has always been thinking and wondering, how are we going to get these use cases on board, which can only happen once you have a slightly faster service than what you have today. So let me just go back and start with what really BB has today, right? 10 years ago we started BB, 11 years ago, and we started with this business which today BB is our largest part of our business, which is what we call the full stack BB business, right? 50,000 SKUs, and typical delivery there is 3 to 4 hours, same day or next day, depending on the configuration of your basket, right? If your basket, for example, has a lot of long tail items, then it will go to the evening or the next day, depending on what type of long tail items are there. If it typically has everything stored in the dark store, then it will be anywhere between 4 hours to 6 hours, sometimes 3 hours, depending on where you stay and the proximity to the dark store. Incidentally, the concept of dark store was introduced by BigBasket about 4 years ago, right? So we understood what it meant, which is essentially nothing but taking BigBasket closer to customers. That's all we did, with our dark stores. But those dark stores are much larger in number. We have about 62 of them that covers all of India, right? Largely tier 1. And they are dark stores which are about 30,000 square feet, cover a 6-kilometer radius. We have a canteen inside, we have all facilities that are there for all the delivery boys, etc., etc. There is an office that's built there, etc., and that's why it's that large, right? So that's our first business that we started with. Today is anywhere between 88 to 85% of our business, right? In B2C, continues to be that. In the last 1 year, we have had no presence in quick commerce, but I am so happy to say that BigBasket has continued to grow in that format, continued to retain customers, and we had seen one of the best retention rates, right? Which is what has
Okay.
got me to this conclusion, right? It's been a year of watching, right? And month on month, we've been
Right.
watching whether we're going to lose customers, whether we are going to, people are going to jump, the ship and go into this fast commerce stuff, etc., etc. Closely watching, retention cohorts just went up, right?
Right.
And we continue to grow. So there was no reason for any worry. Forget about panic. There was no question at all, right? So that was first piece.
Right.
The second piece that we have is again a business that's doing well with a lot of people subscribe to, which is our subscription business, right? A lot of people
Right.
want to just order something and then forget about it, right? And don't want to think about
Right.
it for some time. It's not about speed of delivery, but it's about convenience on subscription. Milk is
Right.
the most subscribed item, generally, and the second most subscribed item is newspapers, right? In our
Right.
houses. So we drive that business around milk, and we also have non-milk there, and we have a fairly good curated range of non-milk there, which is essentially fruits and
Right.
vegetables, bread, dairy, eggs, etc., etc. And we have got 3.5,
Sure.
4,000 SKUs there, which people can also buy along with milk, delivered in one early morning slot. Since it's early in the
Right.
morning, it's also perceived to be fresh and stuff like that, and it is fresh. So you can order till about
Right.
10 or 11 in the night, depending on which city you live in, and then you get the delivery between 5:30 and 7:30 in the morning. One slot, right?
Right.
Now
Right.
this is largely subscribed, and we are finding that people are starting to subscribe for non-milk also now, which is, for example,
Right.
tender coconut. Very simple to subscribe, right? I just say one tender
Yeah.
coconut, two tender coconuts for 30 days. Job done.
Yeah.
So, load your wallet,
Right.
make sure there's enough money, forget about it. Every morning between 5:30 and 7:30, tender coconut will reach your house, right?
Right.
Along with fresh milk, along with your milk, right? Similarly, we are now getting people to start subscribing for more and more items, and that will start becoming our subscription service.
Right.
Hassle-free convenience is what we are driving there, not necessarily speed. But it has got immense speed, because you can keep loading your basket during the day and check out at 10:30
Yeah.
in the night, right? Go to sleep. First thing in
Right.
the morning, it's with you. As good
Right.
as quick commerce, right? And
Right.
this we launched about 3.5, 4 years ago, right? This
Right.
today is
Right.
about anywhere between 14 to 15% of our business, right? After 3 years,
Right.
we were expecting it to reach there. That's where it's reached, right? And at that
Right.
point of time, there was a lot of hype around this business also, right? There were
Right.
so many players who came in with this in this service: Milk Basket, Rain Can, Morning Cart, Evening Cart, whatever, the multiple businesses that came.
Right.
Same kind of frenzy happened, at that point in time. But everything settled to finally what a customer needs, right? That's the point I'm going to
Right.
make eventually. The third
Right.
business is BB Now, right? And BB Now
Yeah.
basically serves three use cases in the game, three strong use cases.
Yeah.
And I believe that the service is required, right? But what I don't
Yes.
believe and what I don't think will ever happen is that it will not be the only source of buying groceries, right? I'll tell you why. Because people choose range, there are so many things that people want to do on grocery, right? So this serves three use cases. There is the first use case where you will find that this set of customers or this cohort of customers will actually end up buying most of their buy on quick commerce or BB Daily. Okay.
Right.
Reason being that they are unplanned buyers. Okay. They
Right.
are people who don't plan. Most people plan their grocery. Earlier, we used to run physical grocery stores long back, and people used to plan in the beginning of the month. Reason being is to get your
Yes.
salary then, right? And so first
Yes.
thing people used to do with that is go and buy grocery from a grocery shop.
Yeah.
Now, because of the
Right.
convenience of online, you can have higher frequency, and hence it's become weekly, right? Or once in 15 days
Right.
or once in 10 days. But it is still
Yeah.
planned. So what people do is keep adding stuff to your cart during the week or during the 10 days and check out over a weekend. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the behavior you see largely, right?
Right.
With most
Right.
people,
Right.
because you don't want to forget stuff, you don't want to keep ordering many times and stuff like that. People want to build their basket so that they get free delivery, right? We never believed in free delivery
Yes.
for everything, so you have to build a certain basket and then you get it free. So people used to make use of it, and that also drove largely the habit of building a basket, right? And that helped
Yeah.
people. So BB Now, that's the first use case. Unplanned people, right? People who come home at 7 in the evening and
Right.
want to now decide what to have for dinner at 9. Okay,
Yeah.
so BB didn't serve that at all. So what they would do is go to the neighborhood store and pick up what they want, or go to Swiggy and Zomato and order cooked food. Correct?
Right.
That's what people do when you're
Yes.
when you're
Yeah.
unemployed. Number
Yeah.
two is basically top ups and emergency. Right? This is a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
use case for everybody. Right? Your bulb
Right.
is fused in the house. You can't live in darkness. You have to get the bulb immediately. So what do? You
Yeah.
just call up your neighborhood guy. He'll send you a bulb. Right? Because BB never serviced
Yeah.
that. Right? You're watching some
Yeah.
movie, remote runs out, don't have a battery at home, you need it right then. Right? Similarly,
Yeah.
snacks, similarly, beverages, guests come at home, you need something quickly, go to your neighborhood store and pick it up. Very strong use
Right.
case, right? For
Yeah.
top ups and emergency. Number three is basically there are a set of categories which are bought on impulse, Indrajit, right? And
Yeah.
meats is one of them, right? You typically
Yes.
decide to cook meat, when you decide in the morning that I want it in the evening. But there again,
Yeah.
the use case is not for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. 1 hour is fine, right?
Yes.
30 minutes, 45 minutes is fine, which is why you see Licious of the world and Fresh to Home of the world. They do 2 hours or they do 90 minutes.
Yeah.
They're
90
very
minutes.
comfortable,
Yes.
right? And customers are very
Yeah.
comfortable
Yeah.
because you have enough time for that. It's not that you need it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So these are strong use cases, Indrajit, for BB Now. And hence
Yes.
we filled that by launching BB Now without necessarily having to be in the rush. We weren't keen at all because we knew that we understood this whole dark store business well. There is a certain game behind this whole thing and the way you do it. We knew we could get up and running quickly, right? And in a matter of about
Right.
a month, we were able to put together about 90 stores that we have today. And by the end of the year, we are going to be about 695 stores, which essentially will cover 100% of my member base. Today,
Got it.
I cover about 50% of my member base. The benefit BB has is that it has the heat map of the entire base of customers, right? We are not starting new.
Right. Right.
Uh, Probably Instamart has that advantage because there are a lot of these unplanned customers who used to buy food are probably the people who would choose grocery, right? The unplanned segment. So they had
Yes.
that. A lot of the
Yes.
new players don't have it,
Yes.
right? And so they have to
Yes.
start afresh by even figuring out where your dark store should come, right? But they'll figure it
Yes.
out. And I'm
Yes.
not, I don't have anything to say against or for it, but I'm just telling you benefits that players like us have in this whole game. So, so that
Yeah.
helped us get this whole thing running up and running. In some 20 days, we are now at some 18,000 orders, right?
Right.
Which is
Right.
quite amazing actually. And what is happening is
Right.
that this again doesn't. There is no way that it's telling us that, oh, listen, is it getting? And today we have data on cannibalization also, right? We have data as to which are our
Right.
own customers going there and buying and what are they buying. So we started talking to those customers, and that's how I'm getting more and more stronger on this conviction, right? And we talk to those customers, and the customers say, what we are buying here is what we used to buy outside, right? Very clearly. And we
Yeah. Yeah.
constantly are watching for this and figuring out what is going on. We watched it for 1 year, didn't make a difference to BB. Now, while we are with BB now, we are watching it very carefully to see what those customer cohorts are doing. There is no cannibalization, right? The same
Right.
set of customers have the same what we call monthly buy number on BB, and we have new addition that's coming in through stuff that they bought outside. This is very
Right.
clear, right? And so now anyway we have, and
Yes.
it doesn't matter for us, Indrajit. I mean, even if, for example, people move to everything to BB now, it's fine. We have all the formats available, right?
Right.
It's for us
Right.
finally, it's to make sure that we finally get to 100% of the customer basket. Finally, where he buys from is based on what his convenience is, and what your survey has brought in is very clearly an indicator of what customers are wanting. Most customers,
Right.
if I ask them, they said, I don't want onions and potatoes in 10 minutes. I don't
Right.
want them in 10 minutes, right? I'm I'm okay waiting for 45 minutes, 1 hour, depending on whether it is my
Yeah.
monthly, weekly buy or whether it's my emergency buy. If it's my
Right.
monthly, weekly buy, I'm happy waiting till end of the day, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's very, very, very clearly coming out. And so I am, what we will see as we go along, some of these things settling down, hopefully. Unless, of course, suddenly customers wake up and find this service so good and everything moves there, so be it, right? But today, as we sit, today, as we talk to customers, we don't see it happening.
Got it. Hari, before I kind of open it up for questions, I had one follow-up. Despite what you're saying, which makes a lot of sense, the construct of the three use cases that you mentioned, there is still a huge amount of venture capital money flowing into quick commerce, especially 10-minute and 30-minute. What explains that to your mind, and how are you viewing it?
No, see, venture capital money, unfortunately, a lot of this money flows in. I would love to say a lot of things, but I can't do it here, right? So, so a lot of this money actually starts flowing in because things happen outside, right?
Right.
And Europe, for example, started this whole wave. It was
Yeah.
not US, nor was it China, right? China has actually settled down to fast commerce, what they call, at about 15 to 18%, right, of the
Right.
overall business. China actually took off completely on social commerce, right, and
Right.
not necessarily on quick commerce, right? And so suddenly there was so much of stuff happening in Europe, right? The gorillas of the world and stuff, right? So much noise, so much
Yeah.
money getting poured into it, because I think fundamentally there, the online business itself, hadn't taken off, right? Wasn't is it
Yes.
other than Ocado, right? You don't have large players, in many of those European markets, right? Even if you have
Right.
players, you have players who deliver it out of their store, their omni-channel plays, etc., etc. But there is no focused online play, right? So this suddenly became that online play, which I think investors put in money, right? And now what I read is that I think there is an overall slowdown there also, right? From a perspective of those respective businesses, right? And
Right.
so some of these things get driven by some of these waves, that happen outside, and then they get carried into the country, right?
Got
uh,
it.
and and no harm in them getting funded, right? If they're setting up a business of this kind, to me, I think I would never set up a standalone business which is only quick commerce, right? Reason being that, if it's going to serve only 10-15%, in spite of the TAM being very large, right?
Right.
If it's going to be 10-15%, 15-20% of the business, then it shrinks that TAM quite a bit, right? To me,
Got
one.
it. Got
But
it.
if I want to be in that business, I would be in that business, right? In which case, I would. The second thing I wouldn't do is do 10 minutes, right? I would give
Yes.
it a range, right? Today we are able to do 13 and a half, 14 minutes because we are doing a 1.5 kilometer radius, right? I,
Right.
I, I see very soon that 1.5 kilometers becoming 3 kilometers in the region. People are already putting pressure on me saying, please increase it because we got so many customers outside the radius, right? And
Right.
all of them are happy to have 25 to 30. So then
Right.
why am I sitting on 10 to 20? Right?
That's right.
So I will then
That's right.
increase my area from 1.5 to 3. And when I do from 1.5 to 3, I'm serving larger customers, larger number of orders coming into that store, which breaks even faster and
Yes.
makes money faster.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I'll kind of hand the floor to first, starting with one of our speakers, Devanshu. Do you want to kind of unmute yourself? And if you have a question, do you want to go?
Sure. So, Indrajit, hi, Hari. Just a quick thought. I mean, one, there is a cost to developing and delivering on a quick commerce basis, and the Indian customer, I think, there has to be a certain demand concentration for it to be viable. Most Indian customers are anyway value conscious. How do you see that equation kind of getting handled in this market? I mean, there's of course a lot of money chasing, so there's a lot of money to spend on acquiring customers and doing a lot of experimentation in the delivery part, the fulfillment. Where do you see this kind of hitting a kind of not a steady state, but at least a sensible state scenario?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Devanshu.
Devanshu.
Devanshu, the audio was um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
a little flaky, but I think I got a sense of what you were asking, which is essentially, I think, around unit economics, right? How does how does the business work, right?
Yeah.
From
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
perspective.
So, I mean, let
Yeah,
me repeat the question if it's clearer now. The basic thing is that I mean, there are two sides to the equation. One is there's a cost of setting this up and delivering and fulfilling, and that cost at this point of time is out of balance, out of whack. The Indian customer, we all know, is value conscious. So there is bound to be a point of time where the costs have to be brought in line with what the customer is willing to pay.
yeah, yeah. Good question. Yeah, Devanshu, understood. So the first part is on unit economics. The second part is on what the customer is willing to pay, right, to make the
Yeah,
unit economics work. Let me be very straight and clear on this, right? For the unit economics to work, right? First is, it's not just about a low delivery cost, right? So it's not just about the fact that you have solved for last mile delivery at a low cost, and hence, your ability to get into the business is high. That's one element only, right? It's also to do with gross margins, right? It is an extremely critical piece in this whole thing, and gross margins are completely dependent on the price you're selling the product at. Okay, one. Third is your ability to charge for delivery. Okay, if you don't have all the three working, this business will never make sense. Okay, because it drives a fairly low average order value. Okay, and when I say low, the average order value runs at about $400, right? You will never ever be able to up that. You'll be able to up that to 450 at best. But if you have to increase that, then you have to increase range. That is, you have to increase the assortment. To increase the assortment, you need larger store sizes. If you need larger store sizes, then you have to service a larger area. When you start servicing a larger area, the time to deliver keeps increasing, right? So if you are wanting to commit a 10-minute delivery or even 15-minute delivery, right, you have to be within a certain range of the customer, right? And to be there in that range of the customer, you will only be able to get X number of orders from that range, from that square meter or that area, right? Now, for that store to hence make sense, you need a very low delivery cost, you need high gross margins, and you need to charge delivery, right? Frankly, if you don't do these three things, the business will never make sense, right? On the other side, the customers are value conscious, right? You're absolutely right. Customer wants everything literally free. Customer doesn't want to pay for delivery, etc., etc. A lot of that is not really true. BigBasket has never ever in its 11-year history given free delivery. Never, right? Because our belief was that customers do see value in some of these things, are willing to pay, and we've been able to build a large billion-dollar business basis this fact, right? We've been bringing it down a little bit, tweaking it here and there. Earlier, it used to be 1,000 rupees, over 1,000 rupees free. Then we actually increased it to 1,200 free. Now we brought it down, right? Etc. Etc. But delivery has never been free. We think so. Right now, what are we doing? We're giving free delivery, right? We're obviously investing in customer acquisition, and that's what companies will do. But if you continue doing that, you'll never make money. So the benefit that we have as a business, right, is that if the customer finds the service expensive, right, and I'm saying hopefully there will be sanity in the market, and everybody will eventually want to make money, right? VC funding will dry up at some point in time, and you will not be able to keep raising money to keep losing. E-commerce is starting to change now, and people are actually looking at what companies are making, because we talk to a whole host of them. But you will have initial funding that goes in, so you will have the the time available to kind of give free delivery, maybe give larger discounts, etc., and acquire customers. But at some point in time, for the business to work, all these three have to work. My belief is many customers will see value in paying because they are getting a service which is extremely convenient for those three use cases, right? They'll be willing to pay that price. If they're not willing to pay the price, they will switch back to BB. I'm talking about our own customers. They will switch to BB, get it 3 hours later, 4 hours later. I also missed one more announcement that I just made about 3-4 days ago, is that BB is also launching what is called 1 hour delivery, which is called BB Express in addition to BB Now. Okay. Yes. Now BB Express is being serviced from our large dark stores, which we set up 3-4 years ago, right? So the benefit a customer gets there is that instead of 3,500 SKUs that they get from BB Now, they get 8,000 SKUs there. Right? But that service is 1 hour. Right? So that people are likely to shift to that service, or people will shift to BB, right? But I think, and we will lead that space in terms of charging delivery. You will find that we've always done that, and and because we'd like to, any business we do, we'd like to make money and the unit economics to work. But if you get delivery right, if you get your gross margin right, which means your product mix right, and if you get charged delivery, you will make money. This business does make money at $400.
Got it.
Devanshu, I don't know whether I answered your question, right?
Yeah, thanks, Hari. I think the answer was fairly comprehensive, and all of us hope that at some point of time sanity will prevail.
I hope so, Devanshu, because if it doesn't prevail, so be it, right? I think we'll just continue to do what we have to do.
Sure.
Right. Thanks for that, Devanshu. Harsh, do you have a question? If you could unmute yourself and ask. I don't know if you can do that. If not, I do have another question which I can bung in. And anyone else who wants to join in is free to kind of just press the request button.
I can see
Yeah.
my friend Digvijay here.
Yes.
Hi,
That's right.
Digvijay. Digvijay, you know all of it. I don't know what you're listening to.
Some scoop, maybe. Okay. So, Hari, I had a question, a follow-up question, essentially. I know that you had kind of looked at quick commerce back in 2015 itself when you made that acquisition. I think it was called Deliver, if I'm not mistaken. And then you pulled the plug on it for certain reasons. So, in the period that you've experimented now, what are some of the breakthroughs that you've had to think of in terms of people, process, technology to make superfast delivery in your vocabulary work?
Yeah.
It could be 1 hour, it could be half an hour.
Yeah, one of the breakthroughs, and a very key breakthroughs is a company that we just recently acquired, which is called, which is around vision technology, right?
Okay.
It is a Kerala-based, company, and we just acquired them basically for our physical stores. If you've seen any of our Fresho stores, we have 2 or 3 of them now. We're going to scale that up quickly. They're basically completely unmanned stores, completely unmanned. So customer goes through the entire journey, including payment, completely on their own, right? And this is where we use that technology, which is vision technology, which basically allows you to put stuff into your basket, right, and keep the basket onto this machine, and it identifies what's there inside.
Right.
Okay. So we are using that technology. I'm just giving you one example. We've built so many processes around dark stores to make it more efficient that I'll probably need a complete session like this to go through that. But I'll tell you one of them. So vision.
Right.
So we are using that same technology right now in terms of when an order is ready for a customer, right, and that order then identifies a certain delivery boy, right, and the delivery boy who's standing there waiting for his order to come is intimated that your order is ready and you can come and pick it up. So they come one by one and pick up the thing. So it creates more efficient, faster way of actually handing over the order to a delivery boy, right, rather than everybody crowding around that space and asking for their delivery to go quickly because they want to reach faster. And here there is no question of reaching faster. I'm sure we'll come to that question very soon in terms of people going out. So these processes we built 4 years ago, in terms of efficient management of a dark store, right? This is just a smaller version of that, right?
Right.
And so for us, we didn't have to add to technology. Everything was available with us. All we had to do is just launch. The only thing we were waiting for is this concept of this super app, where we wanted all our apps now on one app. So people here who are experiencing BB now will now see a new app, right? Will see a new front page, homepage. They will see BB and BB now on the same page, and then you can go. Now you will have BB Daily coming there. You will have meats coming there. You will have beauty coming there. So we'll figure out what all we want to pull out and make it what we call a door. And this is what we were waiting for, but not to build any technology or any process for running dark stores.
Got it. But you've also, I'm guessing the other question that everyone will want to know is how does this fit into the Tata Group's or Tata Digital Super App strategy? I mean, I know you've been working closely with them.
Different super apps. We're just calling it super app because everything is one app. So Tata Digital is a real super app. Because that's the real super app because there, once you go to grocery, it's the brand that opens, right? It's BigBasket that opens there, right?
Right.
And so it is a collection of brands. It's a collection of companies that you have there, right? And they are not native categories like Amazon and Flipkart has. Amazon and Flipkart, they're native categories, right? They're categories managed by them. This is categories which are managed by the respective brands, which are under the Tata Digital umbrella.
Got it.
And what holds them all together is a very, very strong loyalty program, which you'll see launching, which is called New Pass, New Coins, etc., right? So Tata New will launch very soon, in about a week's time, and you'll get to see all of that, and that's what holds. So what stops? The next question is what stops somebody to come to BB and buy? Why should somebody go to Tata New to BB and buy? Is what will get answered when they launch.
Okay.
No, the reason, I mean, it's very clear. There's a strong loyalty program. Plus, it gives you so many other things you can buy there. So when you're on that platform, I finish my grocery buy, then I can do many other things there, right? I can book a holiday, I can book a flight, I can, I can buy food, I can do a million things there.
Right, right. Terrific. Advait Kulekar joins us from Pune. Advait, do you have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself and
thanks,
ask?
IG. So my question is, I know we are on social media,
Advait,
and
Advait, your connection is a little, network is acting up. You want to just kind of see if you're in a better Wi-Fi space.
I'll come back to it later.
Okay. We'll move to Digbijoy. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask? You're the expert, Hari says.
No. Hi, Hari. So I was on. I was a listener, so I couldn't say hi back to you when you said. Obviously, Hari is the expert here. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic which is kind of playing out everywhere. How are you seeing what's happening in the US and Europe, especially in the 10-minute space, right? Like a lot of consolidation has happened. People are also shutting businesses and warehouses. I mean, how do you take those signals?
Unit economics is the key there, Digvijay. In a standalone basis, unit economics will only work, right, if you have those three things working for you: a low delivery cost, gross margins, which means pricing and delivery fees. If you don't have these three, that business will never make money, right? So what happens, Digvijay, in this whole cycle now, it starts with a lot of frenzy initially, right? And then, these boardroom conversations I can't discuss here.
Sure.
Right. So they get it to a point, and they're natural conversations, right? The boardroom conversations will get to a point where we'll say, hey, listen, when are we going to make money in this business, right?
Right.
And that is the whole point, yeah. And that is the whole point, right? And if we don't do, and Devansh, that the question was so relevant in that sense, right? How much will funding keep falling for people to give discounts and free deliveries? How much more will you bleed, right? It stops at some point, has to.
Right.
So that's the thing, Digvijay, which you're seeing, right? Look at all the frenzy in which it all started in Europe, right? US was very little. US was nothing actually.
Sure.
Great. Dipan joins us from. Sorry, Vijay, sorry, I had to cut you.
No, absolutely fine. Thank you.
Dipan joins us from Bombay. He's part of the Future Group. Dipan, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Again, I don't have an exact question, but it's an observation. The thing is, this whole thing about the unit economics and the way whether there is a use case. I mean, all this sounds very eerily like what we used to talk about in modern trade 10 years back about e-commerce, or what maybe the traditional retail would talk about modern trade 20 years back. At the end of the day, the unit economics and the use cases all evolve. The customer, I mean, once he or she gets service, she discovers new use cases, and then there are VCs which back it up, hoping that they can lead a disruption like their colleagues did in the earlier phase. And there's tremendous amount of money then which pours in to lead that disruption. So I'm just hoping, while of course I agree with what Hari says about the unit economics and user cases, one can always argue. I mean, 10 years back, one would have asked, I mean, what is the point of having bananas delivered at home? I can always step out and buy it. Or even 20 years back, someone would have asked, what is the point of selling bananas in air-conditioned malls? We really don't need it. But over time, people discover use cases, and I would keep my eyes and ears open and see what kind of use cases customers develop over a period of time, rather than completely say, no, it's going to be a very small part of the overall business going forward.
Yeah, Dipan, I can't agree more, right? Which is why I was telling you, right? I was stating this fact also that, if eventually people are going to shift all their grocery into quick commerce, so be it, right? And, it's just that you need to play every possible, service that you need to provide to the customer, right? And then finally customer decide what they have to do, right? That's very clear, Dipan. And I fully agree with you, right? The point I'm making now is from what I'm seeing in the last 1 year. That's all I'm saying. Right? Over the last 12 months, I'm seeing this behavior settling down. And, Please don't get me wrong. I am not saying that this is very small. 20% is not small. 15 to 20% of the grocery business is very large, right?
Right.
The point I'm making is, as a standalone basis, right, you're obviously, it just becomes tougher and harder to get there, right? Compared to having all the services available, right? That's all. That's the only point I'm making. That's our belief, right?
Agree fully. I agree. I mean, I'm just saying that there are VCs willing to back disruptions.
Absolutely.
And if the user cases over time evolve, their money won't be falling short. Is my personal learning from this space.
Yeah, that's true.
Great. Advait, are you in a better place now?
Yeah, let's hope. Can you hear
If
me?
you are, then just go ahead. Yes, slightly better, but it's not
Yeah, so
quite. No, it's
my question is on the
getting
actual delivery
cut.
part of it. There's been a lot of uproar, especially on social media in
No.
terms of road safety, etc.
Advait, we can't hear you. I don't know. Hari, can you hear Advait clearly?
No, I can't at all,
No.
actually.
If I message my
Advait, maybe you can DM your question to. No, it's getting cut completely. Advait, sorry about that, but maybe you can DM your question to Founding Fuel. Ram is managing that. We can ask that on your behalf if that's okay.
Advait, while you just get your speaker and question together, I just have one
Go ahead.
question out here. Just following up, Hari, on what Dipayan just spoke about. I can see a habit change, or rather, this is just an observation. I wonder, just building on what Dipayan said, my kids seem to love it, and I can see, them making this argument in the middle of the night, for a tub of ice cream, for instance, and I somehow don't seem to mind it at all, because I can see a 35% coupon thrown in or a 45% coupon thrown in on Instamart, and I say, what the hell, it's at that kind of prices. Okay, you get your tub of ice cream and it gets delivered at 10%. And uh, when I look at like the point you made on unit economics, that's heck of a lot of burn rate as well. How long would someone be willing to fund such kind of burn? For instance, an argument I heard was that this is a play for the long run. You've been around for a long time to comment on this. How long would someone be willing to fund something like this? The argument was that this is a play for the long run and for the next generation, because these are young kids and they are fickle and their attention spans are low. So we're building it out for the long run.
Yeah, Charles, can I just answer this? This is, all VCs or all VCs, all strategics are fundamentally funding businesses for the long run, right? Longish run, right? And, it's not that they want to exit in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, right? They have a reasonably long 3, 4, 5 years, right? So everybody comes saying they are investing for the long term. What they are not comfortable with is losses for the long term, right? Charles, trust me, I've seen so much of this in the last not 11, 12 years, but 25 years, right? And why would they? Nobody wants to long-term funding for losses. Nobody, right? You're just throwing in money, which means that the business is just not sustainable. That the business can only work if you give deep discounts. But if you give deep discounts and the unit economics don't work, then why would anybody want to be in that business, right? These questions come up faster than what we normally want them to, Charles. Frankly, right? And that's the thing. No, everybody wants to fund businesses for the long term. Nobody wants to fund losses for the long term, right? And if you don't get those three elements of the business right, you will not make money in this business, right? You will definitely not make money. One, Charles, I want to answer this ice cream question. It is a classic use case for quick commerce. Classic use case, right? What would you have done if for example, your daughter wanted ice cream at 12 o'clock in the night? What would you have done? You would have called up your neighborhood store. Maybe you haven't got that discount, right? I don't think the discount would have driven you as much as your need for your daughter at that point in time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would think so. So you would call your neighborhood store, and that neighborhood store would deliver, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the use case. That is the emergency top-up use case, right? It is also an impulse buy use case. The third one which I talked about, right?
Yeah.
These are all impulsive products, right? You choose to buy an ice cream when you want to have one, right? So, Charles, it is a very classic case for quick commerce. Quick commerce also delivers late, right? And I'm not too sure how, how much that's going to survive, because those use cases are very different beyond 12 in the night. I'm talking about, which is largely cigarettes and soda and all of that stuff, right? Maybe snacks, and we find that the business starts thinning down. We increased even our dark stores from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and between that time itself we start seeing business thinning down, right?
Right.
So you need to run those parts of the business at a very different level of unit economics. But having most of your fixed costs in place, it's very difficult to make such business work. But you might just do it because it's a small portion of the business, so it doesn't matter, guys.
Right. So there are two, I think, questions that I think Abhishek and Parikshit have been waiting to ask. I'll just come to you guys in a bit. I have just one question which my colleague who couldn't join had kind of asked, because he's used to seeing, Hari, your BigBasket vending machines in Bangalore and in Bombay as well. What's the experiment and how has that experience been with the rollout of that format?
Children are loving it, right? In the complexes, right?
Right.
The children are just hovering around that machine all the time. If they, and it depends on when their dad gives them the permission, because to do it. So it's an experiment that's working very well in two segments that we are actually in there. One is the apartment complexes, but there we need a minimum size, otherwise the unit economics don't work, right? So we can't go into a building with 10 apartments there. There's a minimum 300 apartment size. And second is we put it up in corporates, right?
Right.
And both the places, it's it's something that people are really liking. It satisfies this emergency, and impulse requirement extremely well, right? It's
But
right
will
there
it
in the
compete
complex.
with Express?
It's right there in your office. You just go there and pick it up. We run a very high capex on that. We're making those machines currently manufactured in China. We're trying to bring them back home. But other than that, it makes slightly lower money from a perspective.
So hi. So the two specific things that I'm going to talk about specific to Zomato, because this is where the controversy really began a couple of days ago. So most of the news is there. So what in your opinion is this 10 minutes bit of Zomato, because they're largely into restaurant delivery services, food items and curating. There's two things they mentioned in one of the news item I read, article I read was one is curated menu. One is it's such a fragmented market. So how would they ever curate a few menu, which is what they say they'll be able to serve much faster? Second, they shared some data, and I'll just read out the data. Is they're saying that preparation time would come down from 7 to 12 minutes to under 3 minutes for each dish. Delivery time would come down under 4 to 5 minutes, and pickup time for partner will come down from 3 minutes to 30 seconds. Now, it sounds a little too far-fetched to me. You've been in this business for a long time, and somewhere I read in BB Now that you also have talked about 10 to 20 minutes. You give a range, 10 to 20 minutes. Have you seen 10 minutes delivery in your system beating this kind of, timelines with your delivery partners?
Yes, Harsh, can I? Yeah. So first of all, on the food side of the business, frankly, I'm not too familiar as to what time taken to prepare, etc. But I find it 10 minutes. I don't know how food can get prepared so fast, right? And hence there are questions around freshness, etc. But I'm not questioning that. I mean, I don't want to get into the food side, but on the grocery side, yes, certainly there are a small set of orders that get delivered in 10 minutes, right?
Okay.
Or within 10 minutes, and that's to do with the location of the customer vis-a-vis your dark store, right? So,
Right.
so like I was explaining, Harsh, each dark store has a certain radius that it covers, right?
Right.
It's basically radius. If you take from a kilometer perspective, we convert that to an area, right? And within that area, the closer that you are to the dark store, the faster delivery you'll get, right? The more further away that you are from the dark store, your delivery is longer, right? Very simple logic, right? So the point is that, in my view, if you have to make 100% of deliveries in 10 minutes, then the business, your radius has to be, I think, less than 500 meters, right? Now, if you have a radius less than 500 meters, you need that many more dark stores.
Correct. Absolutely.
And if you have only 500 meters, you have only X number of customers that come to you, right?
That's true.
And hence the dark store has to be smaller. When the dark store is smaller, your ability to carry a range reduces, right? So what you carry, typically what people need is about 3,500 SKUs for this business to work. It drops to 1,000, maybe less, right? So the whole business, all orders getting delivered in 10 minutes, in my view, is possible, but it's crazy, right? I don't think that business, will ever in that sense make money.
Make money, yeah.
So that is why there is a range. Now 10 to 20 minutes for us is because we do a 1.5 kilometer range, right?
Right.
Moment I increase that 1.5 kilometers to 3 kilometers, that 10 to 20 minutes becomes 10 to 30 minutes. Okay.
Got
So
it.
10 to 30 minutes, my belief is, BigBasket's belief is, it's good enough, right? Customers are happy getting it. So we will slowly see how we can increase the area from the same dark store, which helps us get more orders and essentially become profitable faster. Not that it won't become profitable at 1.5 kilometers. It will become profitable also, right? But at X number of orders, right? When you get more orders, it will become profitable faster. See, the key thing, Harsh, in all this is that what does the customer want? And this is something that you will keep learning as you go along, right? And that is where that, the earlier question from,
Dipan, yeah.
I forget his name,
Dipan.
from Future, who was Abhinav.
Dipan.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Was very valid. These things will evolve. Customers will learn. Will figure out which is their best sweet spot, right? And businesses like us will keep learning as we go along, right? Customer says, like, listen, everything has to come in 10 minutes or lower. God save us, right? Because economically, it becomes very difficult to make a business work like that, right?
Right.
But in our view, it will settle down, anywhere between 10 minutes to 60 minutes.
Right.
So you will curate, set of products which will deliver in larger periods of time, shorter periods of time, etc. But it's not just about curating SKUs. It's about what is the area that you are willing to service, right?
Right.
And hence, how much more
infra
you invest in making sure your unit economics work. That's a simple logic, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, Harsh, my belief is that all orders in 10 minutes, not possible.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Hari. Thanks, Harsh. We'll quickly move to Parikshit, who's been patiently waiting. Parikshit Menon, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks Founding Fuel for this opportunity, and thanks Hari for all your
That's right.
thoughts. I had two questions. One is, I remember T and Hari from BigBasket telling that quick commerce will not work in tier 2 and tier 3 towns. Even Kabir Biswas of Dunzo said that it works very well in top 20 cities, which is the maybe 1,000 demand centers, and beyond that it's a huge challenge. So what are your thoughts on scale? Number one. Number two, there's a lot of issues in the supply chain of this quick commerce delivery in terms of the packers, sorting teams in the dark stores, as well as the delivery agents who are delivering this, right? And they bear the brunt of this kind of fast delivery. So how is BigBasket navigating these challenges? Yeah, thanks a lot.
Great question. Yeah. So the first question, let me answer. In tier 2 towns, Hari and me chat about it all the time in the office. So in tier 2 towns, we are going to move to tier 2 towns, and it's going to work. But in tier 2 towns, there is no question of us at least doing it in 10 to 20 minutes, right? We will do a 30 to 45 minute kind of service there, right? So that you need lesser number of dark stores, because what you need in this business now primarily is density, right?
Yes.
And as density starts going away, right, you will not be able to make that business work. And right. Hence, when we do dark stores, we already started our tier 2 thing. So we are going to have dark stores in tier 2, but much lesser in a small town, right? In a small town, because we will do 30 to 45 minutes. right?
Okay.
Because if you do 10 minutes, then you, like I told you, you need a smaller area. And
Yeah.
for you to get business from that smaller area to make that dark store work in tier 2 is not possible.
Right.
Right.
So you need larger amount of orders to come in. If you need larger amount of orders to come in, you need larger area to service.
Correct.
When you
Yeah.
service larger area, your time taken to deliver goes up. It's right.
Understood.
So,
Yeah.
so very clearly, it will work in tier 2. That same use cases that I talked about exist in tier 2 also. I mean, people in tier 2 also, there are people who will be unplanned. There are people who will need top-ups and emergency. There are people who will need, impulse products like ice creams and meats and fresh meats, etc. Right? Except that your ability to deliver faster there is lower.
Correct. Yeah.
So you will do a model there which is 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. Second, I think all of us in this business need to be very, very responsible about this whole driver, delivery boy pushing thing. Yeah. Frankly, and I'm not saying this. Yesterday I was in ET Now, and she asked me saying, I know on TV you will say that you don't do anything, but listen, it touched my heart, and from the bottom of my heart, I tell you that, for the last 11 years, BigBasket has never passed on any penalty to a delivery boy. All we have tried to do is enable him with enough technology, with enough products to deliver on time. Right? Enough technology to deliver on time. So we make sure that when he takes an order, we commit to a customer basis which we think he can deliver. Right? If we think that order in a particular location basis locus that we use, our whole routing software, basis Google Maps, etc., we estimate 15 minutes, 18 minutes, we add a buffer to it. Right?
Okay.
And the person goes and delivers. If he doesn't deliver, BigBasket for the last 11 years, I call this front foot batting. For last 11 years, we have paid a delivery guarantee to the customer, which means the first order, I don't know how many of y'all would have ordered from us in 2011, when we used to have 4 slots in a day, that's all, right?
Right.
And so if we didn't deliver in a slot, today we have 23 slots in a day. For my normal full stack business, 23 slots in a day, overlapping slots, right, which are 1.5 hour slots, right? If I deliver even a second outside that slot, automatically we give the customer today 5% of the order value. It used to be 10%.
Right.
So company bears the brunt. We don't pass this brunt on to the delivery boy.
Got
right?
it.
So we've been very, very clear about this. We've been responsible about this, right? And what I worry about is that if we run and chase every order to be delivered in 10 minutes, then we get into the situation where, you have people rushing and delivering, right? Because it becomes very difficult many a times to deliver a certain set of orders. So what we do is, we know when the order is going to get delivered, basis our routing, basis our understanding of through maths, right? And then we add a buffer to it. And we give it to the delivery boy. If it doesn't deliver, it's okay. Company bears the brunt. Not a single rupee is deducted from him, nor is he incentivized on fast delivery.
Right.
Okay.
Hari,
Thanks a lot, Hari.
Thanks, Parikshit, for that question. We'll come to Chris. Krish, very well. Please go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
So, you spoke about that the market size being around 15 to 20% here, and how the venture funding, would probably dry up sometime in the future. And we have also seen in the food delivery business that it has come down to around 2 players right now in India, and how Europe has also consolidated. So, given the market size in India, how many players do you think would be able to run this kind of a quick delivery business, let's say under 30 minutes sustainably?
There'll be many players. There is enough space for many players. Yeah, the largest addressable market business with the largest addressable market in India is grocery, right?
Yeah.
It has got the largest TAM.
Yep.
Okay, largest TAM, right? I have said this when I started this business 2011. In fact, yesterday I was telling Nantara of ET Now that, go back to your interviews earlier. I mean, she wasn't there. And I used to keep saying this all the time, saying that in large TAM businesses like grocery, it's very difficult for such businesses to be serviced by 1 or 2 players. It's not possible. It's very difficult. What happens is, if there are more players servicing large TAM businesses, markets open up faster. Simple. Right? Because there is more noise in the market. it starts opening up faster. A lot of people start adopting to digital. A lot of people start adopting to online services like this because there's so much noise around, right? That's what it does, and it opens up the market. And when in large TAM markets, there is space for everybody. So in my view, there'll be some more players who will come in, right? See, finally, players with high customer orientation and great service will win, but space is available for many more players.
Got it.
I hope
Yes,
I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Hari. I'll come to Siddharth Subramaniam, who joins us from, I'm guessing, Bangalore. Siddharth, go ahead. You're representing Flipkart. Siddharth, can you unmute yourself?
Hey, hi. Hari, thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. A simple question, right? Has BigBasket ever thought about, modeling on, let's say, a customer pickup sort of a delivery?
Yes.
Like person.
Yes. So there is already a model available which runs in Mumbai. They have expanded to other places, which is called DMart Ready. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes.
Yes, I have heard of it, but is BigBasket doing that?
Yes. So we have started that in our physical stores. So if you go to Banchankari, if you go to Jayanagar, if you go to, we have got some 3-4 stores now, I've forgotten here. So and we'll be close to about 100 stores, I think, in a little while. Each of those stores have two models. They are called Fresho stores. Okay. If you walk in there, you'll only see fruits and vegetables, right? But you can also download an app, which is, I think, already multilingual. And on that app, you can order and pick up your stuff from that store the next day. There's no home delivery. Now, the advantage is, what do customers do? The customers, when they want to see, fruits and vegetables are bought more often than grocery, right? So when you want to go to the store next to buy fruits and vegetables, the previous day you'll place an order for your FMCG items. The entire 50,000 SKUs that I talked about is available on that app. So you can order it. The warehouse will deliver it to that store. There's a token system there, like the banks, So you'll see a number flashing there. You can go and pick up the stuff from a small little table corner that is there, and they'll give you order. And while you're buying your fruits and vegetables. So it's the click and pick model, which is already available in our physical stores.
That's super interesting. I think I should probably check it out.
Right.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, please.
And how is the customer feedback on that?
You'll see the first experience in our physical stores where it's completely unmanned.
Got it.
Right? So don't get too worried. You'll get through very easily.
Okay. We'll move to the next question, please. Rambabu, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? Yeah, you've become a listener. Sorry. Sorry about that. Rambabu, are you there? I don't know. Okay, Atharv, I think around. Atharv, do you want to kind of unmute and ask? Or have we lost you? Okay. Manoj, go ahead. All yours, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, hi, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity, sir. Yeah, BigBasket is giving any customer satisfaction right now, and it's very good customer satisfaction. The more the customers are complaining about the.
Manoj, you've muted yourself. We can't hear you. Oops.
I think we'll ignore that.
Okay.
Can we move on, IJ?
Okay. Sorry. So, Hari, I had one question on something that everyone on lots of people's minds. Beyond food and grocery, I know that you've been kind of also working quietly on medical supplies and ambulance, or at least I'm not sure about ambulance services, but with 1mg as part of the Tata Digital foray. Is there anything that the healthcare industry can potentially learn from e-com?
Yeah, of course. So 1mg is now part of Tata Digital.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
I sit on their board. So essentially, 1mg is really doing well right now. And from a perspective of adopting all these quick commerce, etc., we are actually setting up a small unit already set up, which is going to take best practices in supply chain and make sure it's available across all the 4 participating companies. Right?
Got it.
The first one is Chroma, 1MG, Tata Click, BigBasket.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
that unit has already been set up where we are going to now enable, and today, BigBasket is far ahead in that race from a supply chain standpoint. Right?
Sure.
We're seeing all the stuff that BigBasket has done. How can other companies in that whole thing benefit? And that process has already started.
What does it entail, Hari, just so that we get a sense of doing this across categories?
It entails, for example, moving to the dark store model, right?
Right.
So first is to get to a dark store model from a central warehouse model.
Yes.
When we started 11 years ago, we were a central warehouse model.
Yes.
In a central warehouse model, we were delivering in 4 slots in a day. 2 slots in the morning, 2 slots in the evening.
Right.
Then about 5-6 years ago, we moved to the dark store model, which moved BigBasket closer to the customer.
Right.
That's what all of them need to first do. Right. So process for that, setting up, all that we're doing. Right.
Yeah.
So to get closer to the customer and hence start delivering faster.
Right.
Then we are seeing a lot of efficiencies that could come, which means looking at common 3PL last mile delivery partners. Right. Negotiate. Maybe bring down prices, bring efficiencies, because now you're delivering larger volumes. Right. Across the 4. So stuff like this is what that SCM group is doing.
Well, this is very interesting. I'm sure there'll be lots of work to be done on that. It's real stuff. Yeah.
Then there'll be common warehousing going forward. Just imagine a situation. There'll be a Chroma store in one place. Next to the Chroma store, you'll probably see a BB Now dark store.
Got it. No,
You'll probably see You'll probably see a collection center for 1MG where all their samples go.
No, it's sometimes criminal
business.
to see ambulances stuck in traffic on our roads. Maybe there's some lessons that one can learn from what you're doing on quick service. Maybe not directly replicable, but I'm sure there's some principles that can be used to fix that problem, because people dying on the roads is not the best outcome for our society. Okay, so Hari, I know you've kind of spent a fair bit of time. There's been a really insightful session. I wish we could have gone on for a little longer, but I think we'll have you back sometime soon, because this was very, very interesting, and I think we're at an interesting tipping point. So and the perspective and the frameworks that you've suggested make sense and provide a lot more clarity, because a lot of the conversation on social media gets very polarized and shrill. This, I think, has helped put the construct very clearly in terms of how to design and build these kind of systems, and the point you made about responsible delivery and is also very critical for us to keep in mind. So I'd really like to thank you for the time that you've invested, and to everyone who's kind of joined today. I'm sorry about the disruption that was completely unexpected in the middle of this session. But I hope you've kind of found this relevant and useful. Do subscribe to our kind of newsletter so that you get regular updates on these kind of conversations where you invite stalwarts like Hari to come and share their lessons from their journeys, leadership journeys, and look forward to seeing more of you back again soon. Thanks so much, Hari. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hari.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks.